Hello everyone, my name is Kid Lee, and it's time to talk about server mergers. Now this is a topic that's been really hot over the last couple of years, but over the last couple of weeks it's really spiked up. And the main reason for that is because the developers have actually been sort of talking about it and hinting at a few things. In the past, whenever somebody would bring it up to BioWare, hey, are we going to do server mergers? They always shot it down pretty quick. But here in this video, I've got some quotes for you from the developers, which definitely makes it seem like this is going to happen. Now, currently in Star Wars The Old Republic, we have 16 servers. In North America, there are 3 West Coast and 5 East Coast. Then over in Europe, there are 3 English, 2 German, and 3 French. Given those numbers, it'll be really interesting to see exactly how many servers BioWare actually go down to if this actually happens. If I were to take my guess at it, I would say they'd probably go down to 1 in North America, and it would be on the East Coast. Over in Europe, I don't think they could go down to 1. I think they'd have to do 3. They'd have to do 1 English, 1 German, and 1 French. So basically taking things from 16 down to 4 is how I would probably do it if I were them. They could maybe do 1 East, 1 West in North America, but if you're going to do that, we already know they upgraded the servers on the East Coast. Why not just go ahead and throw everybody on the East Coast? So with that being said, let's actually dive into this and see what the developers have been saying that's sort of giving this more fuel. Quote number 1 is from a server mergers discussion that was happening on the forums. The developers decided to go ahead and add in their 2 cents. So the quote goes on to say, "We have hardware, software, connectivity, and database considerations. We also have a ton of in-game things to consider, like legacy cargo hold slots across multiple servers, decorations and strongholds, currency cap, merging of legacies, number of characters on a server, keeping guilds and their assets intact, and more. You also have conquest and the domination of larger guilds over everyone else, area respawn rates, and so on." The second quote goes on to say, "The losing of character names is one of the key points we are still discussing. We know there is a variety of issues to resolve, including but not limited to name issues, establishing a priority system, purging of old names beforehand, and players attempting to reserve names. We all have character names we want to preserve, so this is a key factor in the overall discussion." So from those first 2 quotes, we've got some things that I want to talk about. The one line in particular from the second quote of "key points we are still discussing." That right there tells me that server mergers are going to happen. Are they going to happen this year? Probably not. I'm going to guess a mid-next year kind of thing. But the fact that they are actually talking about this and they're not just shooting people down saying we're not going to do it, again, is an indication to me that this is actually going to happen. In the 2 quotes, they laid out a lot of things that they are going to have to work through over the next, again, in theory, let's say 12 months to make this happen some point next year. As far as the character name thing, I think how they're going to have to do this is by using some sort of server tag. And there's been other MMOs that have done this. So as an example, my current name is Kid Lee, or Kid Lee Lexmark if I'm using my legacy. Using a server tag means that my server name that I came from would also be part of my character name. So I would be Kid Lee Shadowlands. So when everybody gets merged to the new mega server, you won't have to worry about people losing their names. Sure, there's probably going to be some duplicates. Just going to have to deal with it because, there's 12 people who want Conan the Barbarian, Got to have that warrior action, I suppose. But that's really the only way to do it, because if they do it any other way, it's going to be unfair. Let's say they chose Shadowlands as the go-to server. Everybody on Shadowlands gets to keep their names, keep their, their identities. Then everybody else moving into Shadowland is all going to have to do a rename. And it's unfair. So I don't know if they've got any other solution other than that server tag option. If they do, it's going to be really interesting to see what they can come up with. We'll go ahead and we'll move on to the final quote, which actually talks a little bit more about guilds. The quote says, "We would need to ensure that entire guilds, their flagship decoration, bank tab item, stronghold decorations remain 100% intact. The goal would be for that guild members to notice absolutely nothing, no changes, and this is for returning players as well. Bottom line for your guild would be making sure we protect all of your hard work." So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 3 quotes from the developers actually talking about server mergers. Now, officially, they have not come out and said this is going to happen, but like I said earlier, it sure looks like it is. If it wasn't, why would they even be saying these things? Why would they say, oh, character names is a key point, we're still discussing that? Why would they even say that if they're not going to do it? So I think there's the pretty strong possibility. We've got a couple of things coming up here. One, we've got the New York Community Cantina Tour at Comic-Con. We know they're going to be there. I'm sure they're going to announce something. Could be the expansion for next year. We also know that there is another roadmap coming out because they're now doing the roadmap via quarters instead of just once a year. So we have the 4th quarter roadmap coming out. It could be that at one of those locations, one of those opportunities, they will officially announce server mergers along with the next expansion. So keep your ears open and we will see if this actually does happen. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That'll go ahead and do it for this video. Of course, I would love to hear what you have to say about server mergers. I know that there is one particular group who is probably going to be very upset by this potential news. There are some players out there who actually enjoy being on these smaller servers, and I've heard some really great stories about the small communities that they have built, so it's going to be a darn shame to see those go away. But like they say in Star Trek, if we bring out the Vulcan line, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So I think that's exactly what we're going to see here. But yep, of course, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thank you all so much for watching. And with that being said, everybody keep playing and have fun.